Hey, what's going on, GameLeapers? This is Coach X, and in today's video, we have the 12-15 tier list for you. So to know who the most broken champions are going to be, who the most high-key trash champions are going to be, make sure you stick around. But just before we do get into the video, one thing you guys have to do before you get into your next game is to download the Porofessor app linked in the description, because it allows you to quickly import the best room page used from the best players in the world on the champion you're picking. You don't have to make the room page, just one click of a button, and bang, you're ready to go. But that's not all, because the app also allows you to scout your opponent, and the app will give you their stats, how well they play their champion, so you can know more about your opponent than they know about themselves. And the app also gives you an in-game overlay, so you can compare your CS and your kill participation to your rank, or even challenger players like Faker. And there's a reason why 3 million people have downloaded this free application, guys. It's because it works. So get around it in Season 12. Those links are in the description. So we'll start by talking about the most broken top laners in 12-15. These are going to continue to really be Aatrox, Darius, Fiora, and Jax. These four champions, despite second wind, health bots getting nerfed, are still head and shoulders above everyone else, particularly Aatrox with this new Eclipse build, Darius because he's Darius, Fiora because she's Fiora, with Divine Sundra in particular, and of course Jax for the same reason, even though Divine Sundra is getting nerfed. So the healing conversion percent is going down from 65% to 55%. So this will affect your sustain, but at that point anyway, Divine Sundra is so OP because of the damage you deal with it, so this won't really deter these champions from building it and still going ham. Now, other changes in the top lane, well, we have a couple of items that are getting changed. So we have Silvermere Dawn, the QSS Bruiser item that's magic resist is getting increased by 5, and its slow resist and tenacity increased by 10%, which is quite big, and also the HP you get from the item is going up to 350. These are really nice buffs for an item that I can't remember the last time I saw it in a game, but these might well make it viable in the mid to late game. Now, as far as the champion buffs and nerds go for 12-15 for the top lane, well, one of these champions is in low-key broken, this one being Singed. So your passive movement speed is increasing, and your ultimate is going to give you back more of those bonus stats. So instead of giving you 20 at rank 1, it's giving you 30, instead of 60 at rank 2, it's giving you 65, and the same 100 at rank 3. This gives you a bit more early game power, of course, and means that Singed during the laning phase, well, hopefully now you can actually go Conqueror without getting hard stomped. So these are certainly some nice changes. Now, as far as the other champions in the top lane go, we have Ken, whose W's cooldown is going down by 1 second at rank 1, and it will still be 6 seconds at rank 5, but you are maxing this second. So until level 13, this is just a buff, and it's a nice one too. Also for your W, the damage is increasing, the base damage, by a flat 10. So this is really nice as well, and your ultimate's AP ratio is increasing, which might be the most important one, by 2.5%, which means if you're going full AP cannon, which you should be going, then your ultimate is going to do more damage, particularly as you start building more magic damage items. Now we also have Shen, who's getting a tidy buff, his energy refund from his E, so if you land your taunt, the energy refund is scaling from 30 to 50 now, instead of to 40. So this will hopefully give you a bit more dueling power, in particular in the late game, and also make you more useful in team fights. Now we also have Akali, who's getting changed, and I understand you can play Akali in the mid lane, but in the top lane too, Akali counters quite a lot of champions, and the buff for 12-15, when your W's energy refund, or the increase you get, this is going from 80 to 100. So as soon as you press your W, you're getting more energy back, and your energy pool is also increasing. So this is a nice buff, but I'd rather see like some sort of passive refund instead. I don't know if this is really going to do that much, which is why Akali is staying in C tier. She is just such a bad champion because she needs the burst damage, and because she's not getting any damage buffs, she is just really struggling against the best bruisers in the current meta. Now the final top laner getting changed in 12-15, this is Gwen. So your Q's true damage conversion, so when you hit an enemy champion in the middle of your Q, this is going down from 75% to 50%. Now this is a big nerf indeed, because this means that those enemies who are at the center of your Q, well, it's just less rewarding actually if you play Gwen optimally, because you're missing out on more damage now. And this will also affect your scaling, because Gwen's true damage in the late game, it can be huge. So we'll have to see exactly what this does to Gwen, but because of this nerf, she's moving down to C tier. Even at the moment, she isn't the best solo queue champion unless you're playing in like Challenger career. So for the most part, not the best pick, won't be the best pick as well in 12-15. Now let's head to the jungle tier list, guys, and as you can see in most broken, pretty much staying exactly the same from last patch. Fiddlesticks, Kayn, Master Yi, and Bel'Veth, these four champions are just better than everyone else, even though Master Yi is actually getting nerfed in 12-15. So the nerf is that your E's cooldown is going to 18 seconds at all ranks. It's not scaling down to 14 seconds, but does this really matter when your Q, where you can aim it wherever you want? Does this really matter when your attack range got increased a few patches ago? No. Master Yi is still going to be broken in the majority of elos, so watch out for him again in 12-15. Now apart from this, the other jungle changes, where we have Lilia, who's getting buffed, so the passive monster damage cap is increasing by 10 in the early game to 50 in the late game, so your clear will certainly be better, so you can get through the jungle, gank more lanes, and farm more efficiently. Now we also have Rammus, whose ultimate's cooldown is decreasing to 90 seconds at all ranks. This is a huge buff. Also, the base max cast range of your ultimate is going from 600 to 800. So this is a 33% increase in terms of the actual range. That's big as well. And the dash speed is up by 200 on your ultimate, and the range growth per movement speed ratio, this is also increasing as well. So these sound like really good buffs for Rammus, and that's why he's moved up into the S tier category for the 12-15 jungle tier list. Now we also have Zed. I understand you can play Zed in the mid lane, but in the jungle as well, this change sounds really nice. So your shadow spell mimic range is going from 2000 to infinity, and I know that sounds a little bit whack, but this just means when you press W, your second part of it, it doesn't matter how far away it is, you can press it. But the real buff here is to your E's energy cost, going from 50 to 40, and this means that when you're jungling, you're using your E a lot, sometimes off cooldown, but sometimes you don't have the energy to use it. This is really going to help your clear speed, especially if you're even maxing your E first. So this is a really good buff for Zed jungle. In terms of the mid lane, it might help him a little bit, especially into melee champions, because you'll be using your E probably a little bit more, but into ranged champions where you're probably just using your E with your W, not going to change all that much. But this is why Zed jungle has gone from C tier to B tier. Now one champion who is staying in C tier is Lee Sin, despite getting a buff, so the recast spell energy cost, well, this is going down to only 25 now, which means that when you cast the second part of your ability, well, you're not losing as much energy. This means that you can get through camps more. You're less reliant on maybe blue buff or actually waiting for your energy to restore before using the second part of your spells. So this is a nice buff to Lee Sin, but at the moment he has one of the lowest win rates in the game. I don't think it's going to increase that much enough to make him not C tier. Now elsewhere we have Qiyana getting nerfed, whose passive's damage AD ratio is getting reduced from 45% to 30%, which means that in terms of clearing camps, well, it's just going to be a lot harder. And also because your scaling is getting hit here because it is a ratio, Qiyana as a result of all of this is going down to C tier, and also because of the first strike nerf that's hitting the Rift in 12-15, so the bonus true damage you get is going down from 10% to 9%. Now because this is damage that's getting affected, that also relates to gold, because you get gold based on the damage you deal. So Qiyana's damage is down innately, and also first strike's damage is down, so you won't be as effective in 12-15 because of these. And the same goes for Zed and lots of other assassin champions and any champion in the game who is using first strike. Now as far as the mid lane tier list goes, guys, well, there's actually been a few changes here. So in the broken tier, you can see we have Katarina, Sylas, Vex, and then we have Zed. Now all of these champions in recent times have been buffed. So Zed, this patch, is getting buffed, his E's energy cost and the shadow mimic range. We have Vex, whose Q's AD ratio got buffed, and also the cooldown. Then we have Sylas, pretty much every single ability got buffed for him, and Katarina as well. And yes, these champions are bursty champions, and you're probably like, well, isn't this a durability meta? Well, we're kind of actually going away from that now, because lots of champions who weren't doing that well have been buffed to the point where the durability meta, well, it's like Ryder now giving them enough damage to actually get through the new armor and magic resist in the game. So that's why these champions are the most broken for the mid lane. Now we've already mentioned Akali, Zed, Qiyana. What are some other mid laners we have to talk about? Well, really the only other one is Talia. So your E's cooldown is actually increasing by 2 seconds at each rank. So this means in terms of maybe clearing minions. This means in terms of stopping the enemy champion's dashes. You're going to have less pressure, less wave clear during each stage of a game. Also, your ultimate's wall duration, well, it's actually lasting 4 seconds and not 5 seconds in 12-15. So this means that in terms of trapping the enemy team in place, or maybe saving yourself or your teammates, well, there's just less chance of it. So this means less kills and probably more deaths next patch. So Talia, as a result of these nerfs, is going down to B tier. And just remember that in terms of the low-key broken champions, guys, you probably have lots of questions. Why is Garen broken? Orianna, Syndra, Zoe? Well, we will talk about all of these, and we will give you the rune pages and items you have to build on these champions and why they are low-key broken in a video in a couple of days' time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Now, as far as the bot lane goes, AD carries. We have Draven and Samira as the most broken. Now, you might be like, why is Kalista not in the most broken? Well, that's because Kalista's base attack damage is getting nerfed from 69 to 66. So this means that during the early game, she's really not going to be as strong, and it's not like she's going to become a trash champion. Because of this, she's just gone from the highest tiers to A tier. Still a very good champion, so if you are picking her, you can keep picking her. And you've probably noticed one champion in the B tier who's gone down from, well, broken tier, this being Sivir. So why has this happened? Well, that's because Sivir's AD growth is getting nerfed in 12-15. Your E's cooldown is going up by 2 seconds early game to 4 seconds in the late game, and your ultimate's cooldown is also increasing by 20 seconds, 15 seconds, and then 10 seconds at rank 3. These are huge nerfs to Sivir. In particular, I think the AD growth, because she is a very good scaling champion now with the crit, the attack speed you build, so you won't be hitting as hard late game. Your E's cooldown going up as well means more deaths, and your ultimate's cooldown going up means, well, well, probably more deaths and less kills. So these nerfs are why Sivir is going down to B tier. Now, apart from that, for the AD carry role, really nothing else to talk about, to be honest. Caitlyn and Ziggs might be a little bit surprising in the low-key broken tier, but the main reason for this is because they are poke-based champions, and because sustain is harder to come by in 12-14 and 12-15 next patch, this is the main reason why they're here. But again, we will discuss both of these champions and the rest of the low-key broken champs in a future video. Now, the last role to talk about, of course, is the support role, guys, and if you want these tier lists to continue, make sure you let us know by leaving a like down below. And in broken tier, we have Renata. Despite getting kind of giga nerfs a couple of patches ago, she's still proving to be one of the best supports. Next to her, we have Xerath and also Zyra, two similar poke-based supports. So if we think about the Caitlyn and the Ziggs reasoning, same applies to Xerath and Zyra. That's why Vel'Koz is also in S tier, kind of like your budget Xerath. And we also have Ashe for the same reason, but then we have Amumu because of the Q mana buffs, we have Bard because he's Bard, and Blitzcrank because of the Q buffs, and then we have Taric as well, who's performing very well. But one champion who may have caught your eye, we have Thresh in low-key broken. Now, why is this? Well, that's because Thresh is getting some nice buffs in 12-15, so your Q's damage is going up by 20 at each rank. So this means your Q at rank 1 is going to deal 100 damage. That is exactly the same as Blitzcrank's Rocket Grab buff, and look what that did to him. This is definitely going to help Thresh out, and also your Q's cooldown is going down by a second at each rank. This is really important for Thresh because at the moment, well, unless you're like a Thresh Smurf, he's not the best champion to pick in solo queue statistically, but I think these will make him a lot better. That's why he's in low-key broken. Now, another support getting buffed, this is Leona. That's why she's in A tier. So what's happening is that your Q's mana cost is going down in the early game, and also your ultimate CC duration is going up by 1/4 of a second. So any champion who is slowed or even stunned in the center of your solar flare, they are going to be CC for longer, and obviously this is massive because your ultimate is such an important part of your kit and what makes Leona such a great engaged team fighting champion. So that's why she has moved up to A tier. Just make sure you're not picking Ryze in any role. So those were the tier lists, guys, for 12-15. Any thoughts, any comments, leave them down below. And until tomorrow's Season 12 upload, where we will talk to you about the best champions for 12-15, this has been Coach Jigs.